so good to have you here.
Fantastic to be here.
It's the year that's been said as a year of downturn, economic slowdown. I'm not too sure how you're looking at the marketing spends going on. What are some of the predictions for the year going and the year ahead?
So there might be some economic headwinds that might be happening globally, but I've come back to India after a gap of about 10 years, and I can tell you that this is the place to be. It's the most happening place in the world, and I don't see any reason why brands would not want to invest out here. Also, the year so far, I don't see has been bad at all. In fact, the wheat crop was pretty good, monsoon's not been bad either, inflation's getting under control. So I don't see any reason why brands that have a strong footprint in this country would not want to invest.
I get this point. Everybody would keep on investing. The question is, how much are they investing? Are they kind of holding it back? They're kind of being cautious. How are you looking at that? How is the sentiment like? How is the flow of money going in?
So the numbers that I see across the industry, it doesn't feel like there's things that are being held back.
Okay.
In fact, it's adequate investment for the market.
Good to know.
And if we see, the latest reads that we are getting, even in the earnings release calls from most of the organization recently, including Colgate as well, we just announced double-digit growth in the last quarter. Things are actually on the upswing.
Good to know. And now that we are speaking in the backdrop of digital age, so to say, and digital kind of taking the mainstream and the stage up front, what is kind of a ratio overall, if I ask you from an industry perspective, do you think that TV, print, or let's say the traditional media as a whole kind of losing their share somewhere?
Fundamentally, the decision of the media channel has to be based on what's the most effective and efficient for you to reach your consumers for your products and then eventually convert them.
Understood.
And that could be digital, that could be TV, that could be whatever, and it really depends. For example, if we look at the digital as a spend overall, it could vary from, let's say, 10% for an industry like real estate to almost 100% for SMEs. But as far as FMCG companies or companies which have a broad base is concerned, it's a balance. For mass brands, and we have a mass brand called Colgate Strong Teeth, which is available in more than 67% of the households in the country. TV will continue to be important because that is what allows us to get reach. But digital gives us the incremental. On the other hand, we have a premium brand which is called Colgate Visible White, where the target audience is relatively tighter.
Understood.
And that's where digital will become the core medium to be able to reach out to them more effectively and efficiently.
Fair point. Understood. You've put it in a very, very, very practical way. Give us a sense with the incoming of generative AI, more advanced technology. Everybody knows that it's coming in for the good. But do you somehow see the role of CMO evolving in a different manner with the advanced technology coming in? Let's say if we can talk about the ratio of the cost invested and the ROI. Also in the line of the generative AI, how do you see the role evolving?
So generative AI is definitely an exciting space.
Absolutely.
All of us are learning.
That's right.
Everybody alike.
And irrespective of the segments.
Irrespective of the segments, right?
Yeah.
So it's an exciting space. We are all learning. Now, as far as the role of the marketers are concerned, I've always fundamentally believed that marketers play a role in 3 different stages: strategy, commercial planning, and execution. Now, something like generative AI is definitely going to help us in executing more effectively and efficiently.
True.
Some people would argue that even on commercial planning, it's going to have a role to play to make it better. But then finally, strategy is a choice where marketers will always play the lead. And in fact, if generative AI or other technological tools that will keep coming up will then become table stakes and everybody can use it for better execution and better commercial planning, it will actually be strategy which will play the role of differentiating one from the other, because it is the right strategic brief which will give the best creative execution, the right strategic brief which will give the best commercial.
Yeah, and there has to be a smart brain to be navigating that for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We talked about, we somehow touched upon technology, but with the technology coming in, how do you see the the share of marketing spends going into the different channels, paying more attention or prioritizing consumer experience? Yeah. How do you look at it? Because it used to be the brand image at a cost of just a tap of a button, but it's now the scroll. The attention span is getting shorter, and the brand has to kind of attract a lot of consumers in the least cost. How are you looking at this challenge?
So see, the basics of reaching your consumers efficiently and effectively remain the same. touch points, technologies will keep evolving. Now, attention spans are definitely getting shorter, but I, as a marketer, honestly believe that there is always attention span for good content.
Alright.
If your creative content is good, you have attention spans. At one hand, we say that the attention spans are getting shorter, but on the other hand, for great content, there is binge viewership as well.
Yeah.
Right?
And 2
So
hours long
exactly.
videos, yeah?
Exactly. So that is why for marketers like us, the onus is to come up with great creative content.
Would you like to share some points on what's working in your favor as a strategy?
So I'll share with you, a recent example, and I don't know if you guys have seen the latest creative ad that we've got on Colgate Strong Teeth. There is a toothless granny, and then there is a cutting machine who's her granddaughter, and we've got some fantastic reviews on that particular creative.
So as a strategy, what has worked in your favor?
So what has worked in our favor over there is number one, which is basics. You always need to build your content based on real consumer insights, right? Second, execute against it with something which is involving and entertaining. And do it in a way so that people stay involved throughout the duration of the content and not just in bits and pieces. And that can be achieved if you're working with the right creative agency, with the right insights, and you've got the right approach to do it.
Understood. Now, Gunjit, it's a highly competitive space right now, especially with the digital, the focus on digital, the Gen Zs coming in, and to attract the new generation to the products. Any 3 things in your mind as a marketer keep you awake at night, thinking about how will the job roles will evolve, how will the strategies will have to evolve in the upcoming times, what will kind of derive the business outcomes? Any 3 major important things you have in mind?
So rather than 3, I would say, one singular thing that keeps me up at night as a marketer, not as the CMO for Colgate, but as a marketer in general, is that are we as a profession gonna continue to stay people-centric? And why do I say that? Because when you've got a lot of data and technology keeps evolving, which is absolutely fantastic and essential, it can also be overpowering and take your connect away from the consumer. Your consumer calls might start getting taken on a laptop or on a screen or just data analytics which is happening. So people may often become data, but we need to continue to be people obsessed and people centric. Because very simply, the best stories, we were talking about content, the best stories come when they are personal. The best brand success comes when you are people centric, and the best corporations are the ones that also connect at an emotional level.
Good to know, so good to know. It was really insightful.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much
for having me over. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I loved it.